there are different tests. Most people will choose blood work looking for antibodies. And unfortunately, the companies that do that testing, they don't test for certain items, like they don't test for anesthetics. And their answer is all anesthetics are neurotoxic. Unfortunately, most dental patients don't want to have dentistry done unless they're numb, which means that we have to find something. And okay, we agree that they're not the best thing to use, but most people want to be comfortable when they have this done. They don't test for some sutures. They don't test for some bone augmentation material. It's odd, some of the things they don't check. So what we're looking at when we use EAV is anything that would create an unwanted reaction. You know, you think of an allergy, and of course, the first thing you think of is your eyes swell up, your tongue swells up, you're having an anaphylactic reaction, and then maybe you think about a rash all over a body. But when you're having a reaction to something, that reaction might be that you have malaise. You just don't feel good. Or it could be that all of a sudden you have explosive diarrhea that's unexplained. And most physicians don't think to ask the question, oh, let's see, did you just have dental work done? No. They ask the questions that seem obvious to them. What have you eaten? Have you had your home sprayed for anything? Have you changed laundry detergents? Could you have a mold-infested environment? Did you clean something like the air ducts in your home? So when we're using EAV, we are looking for anything that will take you away from the zone of health. So it's a little different the way I set up the computer, in that I try to find a healthy point, ideally on an allergy meridian, because that allergy meridian crisscrosses more surface area on the body than any meridian. So it's a really good one to use. It gives us a real broad look at the entire body. And then I take the item's frequency. Now that's where I lose a lot of people, but I was just describing this to someone else. Unfortunately, this is my reaction to some rap music that has a lot of bass in it. If you put me in a car and we're stuck in traffic and the car next to me is bouncing up and down and all I can feel is boom, 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 because of the bass in the music, I will become so violent that I would love to get a tire tool out of my car and just go smash the windshield. I can't describe what comes over me, but it's not something that is a wanted reaction. Whereas if I am in a bad mood and I play a particular piece of music, my husband proposed to me during a Christian rock concert to a song called Just Say Yes. It's supposed to be just say yes to God and Jesus, but it was, please just say yes to me, I'm down on one knee. And so if I'm in a bad mood and I put that song in, it's not even the group, because I was there for the live performance of that song. And it was so long ago that we bought a cassette tape of it, and you could play that in our car for a long time, but then you couldn't. And then he made a CD of it, and then my car didn't do that anymore. So now it's on a thumb drive. So it's a copy of a copy of a copy of the live group, and it still elicits the same response. It's the frequency that does that. So that's an instance of taking something that is out of balance and trying to bring it back in. If I walked into a room and it was on my birthday, and the moment I walked into the room, everybody burst out into song and they were singing happy birthday, I would get warm fuzzies. I would elicit a wanted response or a good response to that frequency. So having said that, they actually put the substances in front of an oscilloscope. They assign a square wave to it. Each substance has its own unique frequency. I'm the kind of person you have to prove that to me. So one time up in Utah, one of the guys who was working on the software put an apple in front of an oscilloscope. And an oscilloscope is something that measures the sine wave pattern. Because I'm used to looking at EKGs, to me, it looked like an EKG. You had peaks and valleys and little parts in between. And then he put something that was totally not an apple on there, and I could see that it was a completely different pattern on the tracing. Didn't look anything like the first. But then he put another apple on there, but it was a different colored apple. First one was yellow, second one's red. And you could almost overlay them, but there was something that was slightly different about them, because every substance known to man has its own unique frequency. I really thought that that was still kind of out there. I'm a Curse of Oak Island fanatic. I just love that show. And a lot of times they will find a substance and they have to go in and figure out what that substance is comprised of, and they will use things that look at the frequency. And I'm going, oh my gosh, that is just exactly what I'm doing. So it's so cool. Well, in dentistry, we still use mercury as the standard of care. We use amalgams. Insurance pays for it better than they will anything else. It's so sad. A lot of the materials that we used to use in endodontics had arsenic in it. A lot of the white filling materials had BPA. So we're not known for using things that are non-toxic. In biological dentistry, we try to make better choices. You have to understand there's probably 15,000 different dental materials out there. Nobody can have all those. And even in a biological world, even if it were 5,000, I doubt that it's probably that many. We're probably thinking more in the long of 500 materials. It wouldn't be possible for you to have 500 materials in your office for each patient that comes in, because you have to look at the date of expiration. And when it comes to that date, you should throw it out whether you've used it or not, because that's the way things work. To make matters worse, dentists are actually little artists, and they get used to using certain materials. I will never forget that a company sent me a box of material and said, we think that this would fit in the biological world. Can you do testing on it and let us know how many people are compatible with it? And it really seemed like it was going to work pretty well. And so I went to one of my dental cohorts that was willing to, and I said, would you read the directions on there, or would you try to use it and give me some feedback? And his feedback was this. I created the hole where I removed all the decay. I prepped the tooth. We read the directions to the letter, and we mixed it up. And I had a little bit on the end of the instrument, and I placed it, and I came out. It was still on the end of the instrument. Put it back in there, and I wiped it off. Okay, it's good. I get a little bit more, and I put a second layer in there, and I come out, and both parts are on the same instrument. He said, Dawn, it's like stacking wet boogers one on top of the other. Honestly, I finally developed a technique where I could get it in there and get it to stay, but then I had to get a curing light and harden it. The beauty was, once I figured that out and I layered it, layer upon layer upon layer, when I finished, you could not tell that there had ever been a filling done on that tooth. It looked like a virgin tooth. It was gorgeous. But you need to contact the company and tell them that they really need to change the write-up of the directions and relay that information, because what most dentists will do is go, okay, this is just not working for me. It's too time-consuming. There's too big of a learning curve. And they send it back. So they're not going to use it. I've come to realize that just like an artist gets very fond of using watercolors, or another artist will use acrylic, or yet another one will use oil, that they develop these techniques for painting with those different mediums. I'm not an artist, so for me, if you can watercolor a picture of a tree, I should be able to give you crayons and you can make what looks like a tree. But they get really particular about their medium that they're working with, and I get it. They really are an artist. They're trying to recreate the closest they can to a virgin tooth and make it look beautiful with no margins so that bacteria can't leak in there. When they get used to using something, they're not really keen on you handing them a box that costs $1,500 and they have a learning curve to go through. My point in saying that is most biological offices will pare it down to maybe 100 items. They'll have more than one white filling material. They'll have more than one cement, more than one bonding material, because if they are found to be reactive to the one bonding that works for this white filling material, it kicks out the white filling material. We have to find a bonding agent that they can tolerate, and then what white filling material goes with it. So it's more than just simply handing them a list, here you can use this. They have to know what materials will go with other materials. I think it's really interesting that if I mix up, let's say, super glue, and I put super glue on 2 pieces of glass, it's not necessarily a bonding agent for glass. So if I put a little bit of pressure and torque on it, it'll pop apart and it'll stick to one part, but it won't have stuck to the other. You know, we don't use Gorilla Glue in dentistry, which I'm sure would stick to just about everything and it would mush out like Gorilla Glue does, but we don't use that. There isn't anything as good as what God gave us, so we do the very best we can. The advantage to using the EAV is we are trying to put things in your body that are going to be an exposure for you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and we don't want something that creates malaise or has explosive diarrhea. We don't want to have to redo the dental work because it's traumatic to the tooth. So we do the very best we can. I think it's really telling when you have a patient that calls and says, I just got a new denture and I got it yesterday and I have a rash in the roof of my mouth, but my dentist says it's not possible to be allergic to the denture because they've never seen that before. Well, that's a crazy reason, because you've never seen it is not a reason why the person couldn't be reactive to that. In that case, I asked the man to remove his denture, sit in his home quietly, watch TV for a little while, and simply put it on his arm and then remove it and see if there was any outline or anything he could see. And he shot a picture and sent it to me, and I said, well, it doesn't take a brain surgeon. You're definitely reactive to that. And I called the office for him. It took him having to come see me so that I could determine what kind of denture material he could have. And that office's reaction was, I don't know if our lab has that or can make it. And my reaction back was, if you'll simply refund his money, I will find him someone and a lab that will accommodate his needs. Which made them say, well, now wait a minute, we'll work with it. I don't know that you want to be working with somebody like that. If they roll their eyes when you're asking them certain questions, then maybe that's not the office for you. But that's why I like EAV. Other people do muscle testing. I don't have a problem with that. Someone who is good at muscle testing would be able to give similar answers about things that you would be reactive to. And that's all we're trying to do, is do the best dentistry that we can.